So, a beginning starter guide, huh? For Throne and Liberty. I've already played 13 hours in, so I don't know if this applies to me, but I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. For instance, it took me a good 6 hours to determine what weapon I wanted, right? Because you would just keep choosing different combinations. And I'm sure there's like a meta build, but I ended up using a greatsword and dual daggers. I don't know if that's good. I don't know. I really wanted to do like the twin crossbows and daggers, but I took so much damage. I needed something to sustain myself and still do damage. So that's what I did. So let's go ahead and watch this and see what they have to say.
Here for you today. You can think of this as like a basic
Links in
game
description.
guide for those of you who need a little
Or
bit
a
of
link in the
guidance
description.
when starting Throne and Liberty. You don't want to
Yes.
be completely lost. Hopefully
Yes.
this helps. I'm going to be taking you from essentially the start of the
I
game.
mean, I'm completely
the
lost,
leveling
basically.
process all the way through to the end game, and
Really?
just
All
you
the
to
way
better
to the end.
understand what the hell to do in Throne and Liberty. This is going to be a short, condensed version. I'm not going to go
Is it
super
really?
into detail
Is it short?
because no one wants to watch a
Bruh.
50-minute video. And
It's a
hopefully
20-minute
it
video.
helps.
It's
And
still
if it does,
super
don't
long.
forget to like and subscribe. I'm getting really close to 100k subs. I would really appreciate it. And of course, come hang out with me on Twitch. I'm streaming Throne and
Congrats.
Liberty almost every single
Early
day.
congrats.
Through and through the launch.
Clappy,
So
clappy,
without
clappy,
further
clappy,
ado,
clap.
let's begin. All right. So when you start your character, you're going to be level 1. You're going to be at
Well,
Castleton,
yeah.
and you are simply
Yeah,
going
when
to
you start the
finish
game, you're
your
gonna be
main
level 1,
story
yeah?
campaign quest line all the way to level 50. That quest line is represented by this
Oh,
purple
50 is the
icon.
max?
You can also see it here on your quest tracker. Also, if you hit escape, you hit
I
codex,
hate the
you're gonna see
quest
it under
thing.
The adventure tab. As
Well,
you
hold
can
on.
see, they're
Hold
different
up, hold up,
chapters.
hold up, hold up. I hate the notifications or like the map GPS whenever you click on a quest and stuff. I need like a line or something. So the thing that bothers me, I'm sure it doesn't bother a lot of people, but it bothers me, is you choose the quest and then it'll show where it is on the map. But I also kind of want to have the thing where it shows multiples on the map, right? But because it does show multiples from time to time, what ends up happening is I get confused. So I want to be able to click on the task and have like a navigational GPS kind of thing, or at least an arrow pointing towards which one is what, while the other ones still show too, but not pointing towards them. You know what I mean? That would be a nice add-on.
Here, and when you get to a certain point, you are not going to be able to
Also seeing damage at the end
your
of
main story
dungeons.
campaign. You might have to finish your last level,
No,
maybe
just
level
kidding,
up
kidding,
one or
kidding.
2 times before you hit the level requirement to continue to the next chapter. And when that happens, option number 1 is you go to your exploration tab. These are regional quests. As you can see, Golden Ripe Pastures, if I open my map, that is located right here. When you get to the point where you can no longer finish your main story campaign, you're just going to simply go into these exploration tab and just essentially choose whichever quest you want to do. I
Okay,
would
so do
highly
the
recommend
secondary.
doing the latest zone that you could possibly do. As you can see, I haven't even done all the quests in Windhill Shores. You don't need to. The later zones that you go to, the higher the experience that you get and the better the rewards you get. The rewards
Okay,
will
so
consist of
focus on
crafting
main story
material,
for level
experience,
first. Got it.
transformation, gear upgrade materials, all that stuff. So these are definitely
I mean,
things that
someone
you
in
will
the
want
world
to
chat
do.
said
And
the
after
same
you hit
thing,
level
so
50, you're probably going to want to go
nothing
back
new
and
there.
farm some of these anyways, because they do give you some nice rewards, especially in the early game. You get to the point where you have
People
pretty
skip the
much
story and
finished
just
almost
do
all
the
of
main story at the same
exploration
time,
quests that
and
give you a
they
good
get
amount of experience
super
to
far
push you
ahead.
to the
Sorry if
next
you keep
level.
hearing the
You have a couple of additional options.
something
Option
hitting
number
each
1,
other.
and
That's
I'm gonna
the
have to
strap
actually confirm this later on
of the
during our
trackers
launch in open beta,
or
because
hand
they
track
have changed
things.
this leveling experience a little bit.
My
If you go to the
controllers.
co-op dungeon here, you're gonna have some low-level dungeons that you can
The
do.
co-op
Pretty much the way
dungeon.
the dungeons work in this game is you've got these
I
emotional
have-
contract tokens every day.
I have a terrible experience with the co-op dungeons. It's like the WoW, World of Warcraft. It's like that kind of vibe when you play these. If someone messes up, goes the wrong way, or if someone dies, either they can revive. Guess what happens? They leave and the entire party leaves. So then you have to wait again. So it's like you just wasted your time, despite like, I don't know, being set back 15 seconds maybe. You're set back a whole 6 minutes to 10 minutes at least. It's a terrible thing. So like it genuinely surprises me when you can actually finish one of these. Because I'm sure other people feel the same way. Because I was looking at the chat when we actually managed to finish the level 21 right here. Because they were like, "Wow, I had an actual good team, and we actually cleared it and everything. No one left, and no one rage quit." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." But another problem, this has nothing to do with the game itself. I'm sure it's going to iron itself out. But whenever you try to do this and it gets canceled, sometimes you just get stuck on an invisible HUD screen. You have to like close the game. And when you do that, sometimes it won't even open correctly. It'll just be like account failed or whatever. So then you have to wait like 8 minutes before you open the game. Bugs, and more bugs. But the thing that I was saying is the community for these things need like a penalty. They need a straight up penalty when they leave. Like, what would be a good one? A 30-minute penalty to being able to queue again. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds actually a bit long. Maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because it takes about 10 minutes to get back there anyways. So for the people that do leave on purpose, it would be 20 minutes, right? Technically, to get back to the place they were. Oh wait, back to the video. Oh, I'm getting distracted.
You get these tokens, and when you go
Yeah,
into
energy
the dungeon,
tokens.
when you complete the dungeon and you kill the boss,
You can still
you're
do it
gonna see
without
a
it, I
chest
believe.
At the end of that dungeon, this chest consists
It's
of
just you don't
these
get the rewards.
that you can get, but in order to open that chest, you're going to have
Yeah.
to consume these tokens. I would highly recommend not consuming these until you at least get to level 50 to spend those points on the level 50 dungeons.
Oh, okay.
Instead, you can simply just farm these dungeons, kill the last boss, which will give you a lot of experience, exit out and not loot the chest. This is hands down the best way to finish off.
Okay. By the way, tank is the least played role, so if you want to queue fast, go tank, and then reset your build later with Corrin or something, if you plan to just like EXP farm while doing this. Healer obviously would be second. DPS would take the longest, but you can queue for this while doing other stuff. Just beware that if you do queue for such a thing, what ends up happening is some parts of the story or some transitions to another town, or another instance will cancel your queue or bug your game, even if you hit accept, and then you have to like close it for like a good 10 minutes. So do keep those things in mind when you do this. Just saying, those are my tips on top of their tips.
Any level, I would highly recommend doing that. Also, what I noticed is Roaring Temple here, the level 30 dungeon, actually gives you more experience than the level 40 dungeon. I think the level 30 dungeon gives the most raw experience simply because it takes the longest. Regardless, you can do any of these dungeons and they will give you a significant amount of experience. Now, if for whatever reason these dungeons are not unlocked, then you have another option with these contracts. If you go to any of these cities, some of those cities have contract managers.
I mean, you could do both.
These managers
do both at the same time.
Quests available for you. I'm going to go to Castleton so that I can show you.
This is one or the other, but you can do the contracts while you wait for queue.
The Castleton contract manager,
although if you're a
tank,
your queue is going to be like
bam. He has a list of contracts, and these
like 15 seconds.
Also give me experience.
But if you're a DPS, it's going to take like 7 minutes.
Burning these contracts because as you reach the higher level zones,
Healer
level
3
50, these contracts are going to
probably
give
less.
you significantly better rewards that you're going to want to burn your contract rights on, because contract rights are essentially like the dungeon tokens that I mentioned earlier. Every single day,
it's more energy.
Get 10 contract rights. It's a reset thing, and you can stack up to 60. The only reason why I have a lot right here is because you get additional contract rights as you complete the main story quest line.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to try to burn that as fast as possible. So
you can stack up to 60. So I would highly
you can start stacking
to stack these up until you reach level 50, which is pretty easily done, and then burn the contract rights on the highest level contracts that you could possibly get.
So don't do it.
This is something that you don't want to burn your contracts on, which by the way, these contracts are pretty quick. If you're kind of in a rush,
ignore me then apparently.
Casually, sure, you could use this, especially if you're capped. But if you're kind of min-maxing and you're progressing relatively quick, especially
what
if
was
you're
the
a
cap?
Day 1 guy, then the last
it's not 60,
option
was
that
it?
you have in order to level would be to burn your Abyssal contract tokens. These tokens are different from the dimensional contract tokens. These are your open world dungeon tokens. So in the beginning, you will go to Silas's Abyss.
I don't have
which is
this
the
yet.
First open world dungeon that you will have access to. When you go here, you will kill mobs with these tokens, and as you kill mobs, you will consume these tokens, and you will get both soul,
Consume
currency
coin.
here, as well as experience. And this process takes a little bit longer, but I would
You are
highly
the
recommend doing this
cryptocurrency.
instead.
You
because
are
you're
the
not
crypto
really losing
converter, I
anything.
should
You're
say.
gonna eventually have to go to Silas Abyss and grind out some Solent in the beginning anyway. Solent does
Eat
become a
Bitcoin.
bottleneck in the early game, so you're not really wasting time and wasting resources versus contracts and dungeons. You're kind of wasting those tokens on lower level things that you could have used to yield higher level rewards. When you finish your contracts, you are also going to farm these contract coins. You can use these contract coins at a contract coin merchant. These guys could be found anywhere.
I should
These
probably
guys,
save
it doesn't
those,
matter
right?
which contract coin merchant you go to. I know the contracts that you actually
Is he gonna
get
tell
are
me to
different
save
per
those for
zone,
level
but the
50 as
contract
well?
coin merchants are all the same. You go to this guy and you can just buy these, and you definitely want to buy these daily. This is more
okay.
growth stones that you can get. I'd be careful.
Wait,
with
buy
buying the
daily?
blessing pouch if this is available.
How am I
just
gonna buy
because
daily
you
if I
can get
still
some nice
if I can't
purples,
use
but
my
at the same
contract
time,
till
it costs a lot of
50?
your contract
Does that mean
coins,
I
so
just have to
be
speed run
cautious
to
of
50
that.
first?
Also, you can spend more of these contract coins to get these purple recipes. This
I
could
guess
be
it is
pretty good
possible.
to trade out your gear, which we haven't really talked about in this video. Just keep in
Just
mind,
do main
in the
story,
early
right?
game, these growth stones are really important. I would really recommend making sure you prioritize getting these growth stones. And if you have leftover, which you will have leftover if you're not buying the
Okay,
blessing
so
pouch.
I assume the priority order right now is do the main story. By the time you're done with the main story, you'll probably be 50, I think. He didn't really specify, or I just didn't hear him. From there, you would try to burn your daily energy as fast as possible, like once you're 50. And then also, once that's done, and you don't have any energy and you still want to do stuff, you would do the exploration. I think that's the order that he's talking about. Although the exploration came before this, so maybe you don't hit 50. Man, I don't know. One or the other.
You might be able to start
Basically hit
purchasing
50.
these later on and hope that you get the trait
Get
that
the
you want.
50.
Again, we're not going to talk too much about the traits in this video. A couple of things that you also want to pick up.
That person
on a
has
week-to-week
such pink
basis.
armor down
If
there.
you go to a Sundries merchant, you're going to notice that this guy has a Taydel's Tower weekly limit 3 that you can get. So these you definitely want to buy on a week-to-week basis. Again, this might not be in the game in the beginning, but when you purchase this, you're essentially going to get a scroll that will have you kill a boss in the Taydel's Tower that we talked about before, and you're just going to get some nice rewards. The other thing that you want to check out is the guild merchant. The guild merchant will have, you need to be in a guild to be able to do this. They will have nice
Yeah,
potions
I don't
that
have-
has a
I don't have a
daily
guild.
limit. You definitely want to be purchasing these.
I'm on
You probably aren't
NA
gonna have the
East
rare
too,
ones
so if
in the
anyone
beginning
wants
of
to
our
invite me
game.
to
You'll
your
probably just have
guild,
the
just
quality ones. So be sure to buy that
talk
on a
to
daily
me.
basis. And the last thing that you're going to want to make sure you get every single week, when you talk to a Sundries
You want a
merchant,
chippy
you're
doggo
gonna
on your
see
team? I
this
got you
guy
covered.
offer additional weekly scrolls. These
I
you
will
definitely
be
wanna
your
purchase,
chippy
all 12 of
doggo,
them,
baby.
every single week. These are very good rewards that you want to prioritize getting. You don't want to miss out on these. These missions will give you pouches, and the pouches have nice little RNG rewards that you can get out of them. Now, these contracts.
I
are
know I'm
unique
wearing
to
a cat
regions, so
outfit.
if you
Leave me
open up
alone.
your map, you're going to see Stoneguard and Losland. So you're going to want to talk to a Sundries merchant in Stoneguard and pick this up. Then you're also going to want to do that in the Losland region. You can simply go to Watcher's Post. That's where I usually pick mine up because that's where I do my contracts. The Sundry merchant there will also have a Losland version of these 2 weekly quests that you'll want to do. Now, the last option that you have is the Taydel's Tower. If you go to Secret Dungeons here, you're going to see Taydel's Tower. You're going to have different floors. They give you
Tater
some
Tots
pretty
Tower.
juice rewards that you're going to want to do all the
Add
way down
ketchup.
to the 20th floor, which is hiding behind my camera.
Or
You
ranch,
will not be able
or
to do
mustard,
all 20
or honey
floors.
mustard,
They are
or
level
barbecue.
locked, so just go ahead and do them. As you can see, I cannot do the 9th floor at level 45, which is what this character's is. I need to be level 47 in order to do this. So you can do this at any time. You can just literally click this, enter, you're going to teleport into the dungeon. Just do this at your own discretion because
it's
it
pretty
does
hard.
give you some extra
It's
sword,
actually
it
pretty
does
hard.
give you some upgrade mats, and
You
it
do have
does
to be
give you some
careful.
extra experience as well. Also, when you're leveling, depending on how far progressed you are, you may or may not see some of these events pop up. If you open your map
Well,
and you click on
that's a
timetable,
given, isn't
you're
it?
going to see these little triangle icons. You are not going to see as many as you're seeing here on the screen because these events get unlocked via milestones on the server slowly, one by one. But anytime you see one of these, and you're going to see wolf hunting contest first if you're playing at the launch of the
Oh
game,
yeah, I did
always
see that.
prioritize doing these events over anything. So if you're doing your main story quest
my
line,
bad.
stop what you're doing. If the event is about to start, go and do this. You're going to get some really,
Oh,
really
I just
nice
skipped
rewards that you
past
definitely
it.
don't want to miss out on. And you also get experience as well. So once you hit level
Oops.
50, you are going to have essentially 4 different things that you are going to do, which we already talked about earlier. The first thing being your contracts. As I mentioned earlier, you have contract rights. These are the amount of contracts that you could do, each one of these things being a contract. You see a 1 here. You can get a level 2 and you can get a level 3 in addition to the
I'm not
level
trying
1.
to stand
Level
on
2 and
him.
level 3,
He just
obviously,
keeps
you'll find
moving
rewards,
everywhere.
but you want to make sure you take
I can't
the
do
ones
anything about
that
it.
you need. And in the early game, I would highly recommend prioritizing the weapon growth stones, followed by the armor and accessory growth stones, depending on whatever it is that you need to upgrade. You could also get like crafting mats and polished crystals. You definitely need all of this, but prioritize the growth stones because this is the main way you're going to get your growth stones, and you're limited to how many you can get per day because you're limited to how many contracts you get per day. This is the reason why I was saying try not to waste your contracts in the early game. Another thing that you can get from these contracts are these mastery points. In Throne and Liberty, you can essentially upgrade your weapons. They require mastery, and when you finish these contracts, as well as pretty much
I want to
dungeons
max out
and
my
a lot of other
greatsword
things
and
in the game too,
dual
you get these
daggers.
mastery points that you could consume.
Wait, what's
to
he
increase
running?
your
It kind of
mastery,
looks like the
and
same
one of the
thing
main
I'm
ways
running.
to get these mastery points is also through your contracts.
Is
The
he a
last thing
tank
about
or a
contracts I want
DPS?
you to know, I highly recommend burning your contracts here at Watcher's Post. The higher level zone you go to, the better the contracts. And you can
He
either
must
go
be
to
a
Pure Light Tower or
DPS
Watcher's Post. I
because
personally
you
like
weren't
Watcher's
run
Post.
dual
Watcher's
daggers
Post will give you
as
contracts that you will
a
complete
tank,
either
right?
in
You do
Phonos
great
or
sword
Ruins of
and
Terrain.
sword and
These
shield.
contracts, in order to really min-max time, I would really
Or
pay attention
great
to what you
sword
have to kill.
or-
For example, this has
Or
you
the
kill
other one,
orcs.
and then run
This one has
the
you record this.
the
This is
healy
actually
thing.
a super fast one. Some of these are really, really fast. Like they will literally take you less than a minute. Some of them are a little bit longer. You'll just have to get a feel for it, but some of them actually overlap. So this one has you kill orc brawlers, orc archers. Another one might have you kill brawlers and soldiers, and as you can see, that would overlap with this one and this one. So pay attention to the ones that you get, pay attention to the levels and also the actual objectives if you are trying to save time. All in all, it's really not a big deal.
Okay,
because you can
try to
finish these relatively
mix
quickly.
and
Now,
match.
the next thing we have
Try
are
to
the
match them.
co-op dungeons. These are arguably, no, it's not arguably.
Wait, didn't he
it
already
is
mention
hands
this?
down the most important form of progression. You're going to get
Oh.
or farm your gear through these
The
dungeons.
next page.
You're also going to farm Lucid via way of traits, which we're not going to go super in-depth into in this video, but just know co-op dungeons, you're going to want to be doing these. And as I mentioned earlier,
Dang,
you
look
get
at those
these dimensional
rewards.
contract tokens. You get 900 per day at tier 2,
900,
opening
huh?
a chest at the very end, as I mentioned before, when you've killed a boss.
900.
Chest at the end that you can open. You can consume these points to open the chest, and tier 2 it consumes 450 dungeon points. As you can see, the lower level ones they consume 300, and the even lower level ones here, the 20, 30, and 40, they consume even less points. So just be mindful of that. I would highly recommend saving all your points for these level 50 dungeons. In our version,
Unless it caps, right?
in the early game, we're probably not going to have tier 2. We're just going to have tier 1, and these are pretty fun and challenging. They will probably take you a while if you're doing it with a group blind. If you know how
So
to do
let
the
me get this
mechanics,
straight.
These are all fairly easy.
Basically, save our points, run the dungeons, but don't claim the reward at the end, is what he's saying, until you hit like level 50, I guess. That's what I think he's saying. Whoops, I hit the wrong button.
Easy. They do have a little bit of a DPS check, but again, we're not going to go too much into detail. Be sure to check
DPS,
out
what are
which
you
roles
doing? You have the
need. For
easiest
example,
role.
you might
Why
need
can't
this
you do
Ghost
that
Wolf Alter
damage?
Ego. You're going to want to do Death's Abyss that. None of these bosses are more powerful
It was him.
or
It
stronger
was his fault.
or at a higher tier than the others. They're all pretty much the same. They just give
I think-
different pieces of gear.
I
For
don't know
example,
if it
Super
actually
Chest is
shows,
best
but they
slot
do need
chest
to
in the
show,
early
like,
game, so
DPS
just pay
damage.
attention to what you need. Also, as you're doing
So
these
we can
dungeons,
flame
you're gonna
whoever's,
have a chest here. You're gonna
actually
get these dimensional crystals. You
falling
can use
behind.
these dimensional crystals to purchase and craft this chest. You could also just get this chest by Lucky RNG.
Which I guess
This
doesn't
chest
really
will
work too
drop
well
your
because you-
early game best in slot
there are
weapon,
some
your purple
classes
weapon
that
you're
weaken the
definitely
enemy
gonna
for your
wanna
team,
use and try to get
so you
as
can't
soon
really
as possible.
do
So
the
once
damage
you
to
hit
begin
level
with.
50, your first priority needs to be, hey, we need to make sure we get these
And it would just
dungeons
flaunt
done,
the egos
and
of those
I'm trying to
that
get,
do
from a
the
vertical
damage
progression
for you.
perspective, you are trying to get both your purple weapons as well as whatever armor pieces
So I
you
could
are
see
going
where
for.
it would
The next
go
thing that
bad.
you're going to be doing at the end game once you hit level 50 is farm
But that's
open
the
world
people's
dungeons.
fault for
And the
not being
first
smart
open world
enough.
dungeon that you're going to be farming is Silas's Abyss. You're going to simply go there, kill mobs, and when you kill mobs, you're going to consume these Abyssal Contract tokens. Once you run out, go farm Abyssal Contract tokens. How do you get Abyssal Contract tokens? You'll get them by just playing the game. You will literally get them by doing contracts, by doing dungeons, by doing events, which is the next thing on the list. This is very straightforward. I don't really need to explain much other than the fact that you get a lot of Solent from that. It's going to be your main form of getting Solent. You can get some Lucent and some lucky drops as well. Specifically in Silas, mobs there also drop what's called a Death Soul Shard.
That sounds ominous.
When you combine them with these other mats, you will be able to craft certain blue pieces.
That's
you
nice.
are going for blue gear. You're going to be able to farm them by collecting these
nice.
Death Soul Shards, which are
That's
found
the good
on the
stuff.
first floor in Silas Abyss. The last thing you're going to want to do are these events. If you open your map, go to your timetable. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to see these little green diamonds. You're not going to see as many as these, and all of the ones in the beginning are going to be peace. Eventually, some of these will become PvP. TLDR, these give you skill
Not
books, and
PvP.
the PvP versions give you Marins. Well, the higher level PvP versions give you Marins. Marins are mats that you use to
They
craft
forced my
skill
hand.
books, but the difference
I'm gonna make a
between
guild.
Marins and books is that Marins you can sell for Lucent on the
Oh, but even if I
auction
make a
house
guild, I
versus
can
these
only make
books,
like one
you're
that has
bound
a
to just
voice
use
chat
them
of
to
8
upgrade your
people.
shit. So definitely don't miss out on these.
Ugh.
In addition to these events, you'll also see like world boss events that pop up. You'll just have a lot of different events that pop up. You just TLDR, do everything. Go to the world bosses, do
TLDR
that, do the peace
this.
events if that's the only thing you have. Just
TLDR.
do these events. All right, so the last
Don't
thing
let
we're
your
gonna go
energy
over
cap.
are your gear upgrades and your skill
TLDR.
upgrades. If you hit
Be level
escape here,
50.
you click on equipment
TLDR.
enchanting. You're gonna see 3
Finish the
tabs
main
here.
story
We're not
as
gonna
soon
talk
as
about
possible.
traits
Skip the
because we're
story.
talking
Forget
about
the story.
1 through 50 and
Have
just
someone
essentially
else-
what you do at the
if
start
you wanna
of
see
level
the story,
50. I'm gonna probably put out a different
watch on
video
YouTube.
specifically
Skip
for
the
traits, because
story.
traits can be a little bit more confusing. We're gonna first just talk about the level up and the transfer. So in this game, you have different grades of gear: gray, and then a tier above that is green, tier above that is blue, tier above that is purple. Tier above purple is tier 2 purple, as you can see top left.
Although I'm
corner
pretty
of
sure
that
they get the
tooltip, it says
statistics
epic
on
level
their
2.
game
We're not
being
gonna have
like,
tier 2 purple
everyone's
at the start of
skipping
our
the story.
game,
We
just
might
so
as
you
well
know
not even
that's
have a
how
story.
it kind of goes up. Here's the process.
Which
You're gonna have
honestly,
gray gear first.
probably a
What
good
you're gonna
idea.
do is you're going to consume all of
Even
your
if people
growth
are
stones to
interested in the
upgrade it to
story,
max. Go ahead
people are
and do it.
more
Then, as you
interested in the
progress, you're
gameplay,
going to
so-
get a green piece of gear through the quest line. Go ahead and upgrade that to max. However, when you replace your previous gray piece of gear, you can feed that piece of gear into your new piece of gear as long as it's 1 grade above, and this item will
I
then
did not know that.
consume or take the experience from that. This is the way it looks. I have this tier 2 piece, and then
Oh.
I have a tier 1 piece, which is 1 grade below, so it's be the same as like a green with
That's a good idea. I can't. I think this is a good idea, but some gear you do have to be careful. Some of them have like a little book thing on it, right? There's like a little bookmarker or whatever. You can basically put that inside a collection, and then you'll get a reward once you get like certain pieces. So there's that. I don't know if the rewards are worth it though. He hasn't mentioned it yet, and I don't know if he will. But I think transferring might be more important. We'll see. Let's see if he even mentions the book.
gray that's being fed into the green. I click this, and as you can see, I can get the experience from it. So you're going to start with gray, level it up, go to green, level that up, feed the gray into the green. It doesn't, in the early game, it doesn't really matter what order you do it in. Each item you can only feed once. Doesn't matter whether or not that item is maxed. So if I don't get this maxed out, I can still feed a less than maxed out piece of gear into the new upgraded piece of gear. Although I would just recommend just upgrading it to max and then feeding the max level lower tier weapon into the higher tier weapon. And again, it doesn't matter, like if you're sitting there with a green piece and you're like, is it okay I feed my green growth stones in there first and then feed my gray piece later? That's totally fine. In the early game, the order doesn't really matter. The next thing that we have
Good to
are
know.
your skills.
Good
When
to
you
know.
press K, you're going to
I'll
open
do
up
that
your
from now
skill
on.
menu, and when you click on this button, you're going to see in order to upgrade this skill, it consumes precious training books. You're going to get these books by doing events. The active skills consume precious training books, and the passives
Oh, is that where you get them?
consume
The
precious
events?
improvement books. They're different. This is pretty straightforward. You just get the books, you upgrade. Some of these abilities will be green, like these first 3 abilities will be green. You upgrade them with green books, then they turn into a blue version, which you get an additional effect. As you can see right here, the rare, which is blue, you unlock the stun duration to 2.3 seconds effect, and then when you upgrade it to purple, you unlock that as well. So
That's actually
frequently
one
the
of the ones
passive
I'm
shards can
upgrading.
definitely prioritize the key abilities for your respective classes. Next, we have
So yeah, he
Mastery,
is
which
running
kind
the
of
same
ties
thing I'm
into the
running.
skills as well. When you click
He's
on
running
this
the
button
same
here,
exact
you're
thing
going
I'm
to
running.
see a mastery
That's
tree.
awesome.
Sorry, this is pretty straightforward. All you got to do is just actively use the item. You will passively level up your mastery, and then you will unlock these as you go. The other way you farm mastery is by doing dungeons, by doing contracts like I showed you earlier. You will get these training do items, and these training do items, and when you consume them, they will give you mastery. I actually have some right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys that right here. I've got 95.2%. This one is at 65.9%. I'm going to go ahead and just consume these, all of these. These are from my contracts here. And I have leveled up. My sword mastery just leveled up to 10.
Dang it.
I'm
It
going
took
to
all
unlock
those
one of these. And then
for
longbow
5%.
is now at
Sheesh.
72.9%. Now, these items, these training do items, they should be in the game. But
That's
they
such a
weren't
grind.
originally. This was recently added. But I do believe during the NA Global launch, these will be in our version. I don't know if they're going to be in the open beta though. Also, if you go to your menu again here and you go to Secret Dungeons, you're going to notice a Gate of Infinity tab. Now again, I don't know
that
if this
sounds
is going to
nice.
be available in the open beta.
I don't
want to
do it.
Available during our launch.
I don't
This
wanna.
is a weekly boss that you can do, and if you click on the achievement rewards,
Ah,
as you can
crap.
see, when you kill these bosses, you get a significant amount of rewards. You get a lot of mastery points. You get a lot of precious books, training books, and the better you perform, if you can kill it in under 1 minute and 30 seconds, you get additional bonuses on top of that. So be sure to do this. It's one.
You know,
boss
that's
per
the one
week.
thing
You
I
have to
never
wait the
liked
following
about
week to
these kinds of things. I prefer, like, instead of killing under a certain amount of time, because it's basically telling you there's a pace that you have to do, and like skills on your damage, skills your stats basically is what I'm trying to say, right? I feel like it should be more like how often you get hit. Obviously you're gonna get hit a certain amount of times no matter what, but it means like if you get hit by like the parries, like when you should parry, or when you're supposed to dodge and stuff. I think that's what should dictate the rating you get, not the amount of time. Because it would be so cool to see someone do, like, I don't know, they're like lower level or something, or not low level, but like low gear, let's say, because I believe this is level restricted. I don't know if it's gear restricted, but let's say there wasn't a gear a gear restriction. Someone just goes in there with like standard gear without like grinding. Obviously, they're not going to do too well, and it's going to take them a long time. But it would be super cool to watch them just go ham and still get like 3 stars. I don't know, that's just me though.
do the next one. And there is a little ranking thing here if you do care about how fast you kill it and you want to be a PvE god. If you kill it super fast, your name will be up on the leaderboard as well. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope that helped. Let me know
Leaderboard
what you
should
guys
be
think
gear
in the
score
comment section
and star
below.
rating.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video.
That was actually pretty good though. I liked it. It definitely helped out. He covered almost everything except the collection book, so I would assume the collection book is not important. So I guess we could just throw that out the window and just use the gear to upgrade gear. Unless it's maxed out, then we can put in the collection book. So yeah, that was fun. Well, I hope this helped you guys out as much as it helped me, and I hope my tips as well came to help too. Me no English. English or Spanish. Anyways, see you guys next time with more Throne and Liberty. Peace.